All right, so my DApp is named ShareStock, and it's collectible stock certificates. A little bit about me: I'm from Sacramento, California. For the last 2.5 years, I've owned a company called NEWCAL Media, which is a digital marketing agency. And today, I actually accepted an offer from a company called CoinCloud as a marketing manager. CoinCloud is one of the biggest Bitcoin ATM providers in the U.S., and I'll be helping them with their marketing. My background's been in marketing and business development. I've also been really interested in stock trading and crypto trading, and I also have 2 applications in the App Store right now, both related to stocks and crypto. So ShareStock is essentially it's a decentralized platform to buy, sell, or transfer digital stock certificates. And I got this idea a few years ago when I heard that my friend's grandma had given him stock certificates, and he was showing me his the Disney stock certificates, and I thought they looked so cool. And he was telling me that she had been collecting those stock certificates since he was a kid, and eventually he got to the age where she was able to give him those certificates. But he was telling me about how hard it was for her to actually get those shares transferred over to him in the certificate form. So it's kind of where I thought about doing this in a decentralized platform. So previously, stock certificates have been used as a store of value, investments, gifts for loved ones, or just general collector's items. This is a picture here of what a Walt Disney stock certificate looks like, and they're very unique, and people actually have there's a whole market of collecting these Disney stock certificates, not only for the value of the stock certificate, but just for the way that the certificate looks. The problem with the way that this is done now is that it's really difficult to actually share stocks with friends and family. If you had to do this, you have to go through a centralized bank, and that takes time and can also be expensive. And you could also only make a transaction when a bank or brokerage is open. So this is an actual picture of a letter of authorization. I went into Charles Schwab a couple weeks back, and I went in there as if I was going to transfer stock, and I asked them what that process would be like. And they gave me this form, and they said that I would just have to fill this out, and then it would take 7 to 10 days for the transaction to actually go through, and then they hand you a certificate like this, which they would have to mail you also. So a solution to this would be a decentralized platform to buy, sell, or transfer digital stock certificates 24/7. So how it works, step one is you would choose a company and the amount of shares you'd like your certificate to represent. And in this case, I would use an oracle to get the current price of those shares at that time. And step 2, we'd create the new stock certificate using ERC 721 contract. And step 3, you'd be able to buy, sell, or transfer your stock certificates 24/7. And here's a demo of that project here. So you have the platform here where you can see that you have your address, your Ethereum address here. You can see that you have 97 ETH available in your wallet. And I'm going to walk you through actually creating a new certificate right now. So we come here and we start out with, take a company like Facebook. Most people know about them, but they don't actually issue paper certificates anymore. But what we do here, we create the new certificate, and it shows up in your available certificates. So essentially, this could also work as a wallet to hold your stock certificates. And I'm actually going to skip over here towards the end where we show you how to actually sell that certificate on the platform. So if you wanted to put that certificate up for sale, you could create an auction here and sell put your certificates up for sale. And you can see now that the Facebook certificate here has the option to buy. And then, we proceed to do this with the, Apple certificates, Amazon certificates, Netflix, and Disney down here. And during the project, I wasn't able to finish the transfer function or the actual buy function. But the next steps for the project would be to get those functions working. And then also I'd like to add a chain link oracle to actually connect the contracts to live market data. So you could create kind of like your own market and maybe peg the certificates to the actual prices of those stocks. And I'd love to work with a brokerage to beta test this with real brokerage accounts to see if we can open up a market to exchange stocks peer-to-peer in a peer-to-peer form, also 24/7, so after the markets close. And I'd love to allow each one of these contracts to store real value. And that's it. Thanks for watching. ShareStock, and place where you can go and find collectible stock certificates. That's it.
Incredible. Rob, we're going to just open it up to questions. Does anyone have any questions? Now,
I can, is it cool if I ask a question?
Sure, I was going to ask a question, but go ahead, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Man, nice job, Rob, and congratulations on the new job as well. That's awesome.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I enjoyed the presentation. So who do you see as able to kind of build and launch this type of like ERC-20 stock certificate service? Like, because it's got to be someone with kind of like issuance trust. Like, is it limited to like traditional brokerage agencies, or how do you see this working maybe outside of that traditional industry, or can it work outside of the traditional industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think that if you wanted to consider it as a brokerage itself, you'd have to go through a lot of regulatory structures. But right now, the way that it's built, it's actually just like the certificate is a representation of a share. So I don't know the legality behind, because essentially it's not, in this case here, it's not a real stock certificate, but I would like it to be, which is why I would probably decide to maybe sell the technology to a brokerage that has maybe the licenses to do this. But if I weren't to go that route, I wouldn't actually make it a true asset. It would just be its own platform to kind of mimic the market. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, interesting, man. Thank you.
Oh wow! So you're planning on creating like a marketplace that mimics the market? That's really interesting. Because I thought it would be really cool if you had ERC 721 tokens that have like tangible value, right? Like not just on a decentralized marketplace like OpenSea, but on like the NASDAQ. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I would just say that like that would be the ultimate goal and vision is to work directly with the NASDAQ to do something like that. But I think there would just be a lot of regulatory issues up front, so I wouldn't start there.
Makes sense. Anyone else?
So this is Mike Salim. Does each stock certificate have a unique ID or serial number or something? How do you distinguish one from another? Say you have two different Disney stocks. One person has a Disney stock and another person has a Disney stock. Are they identical, or is, if they're going to be collectibles, I assume there's some difference between them?
In this case, I think the difference would be the price that the certificate was made, and maybe like a timestamp of you have just when the certificate was actually made. For now, I think that would be the only difference between the contracts.